Being Australia's number one real estate agent 2 years in a row would be no mean feat. Fortunately, he's willing to share his success secrets on Australia's number one marketing show. Let's do this.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Australia's number one marketing show. I'm your host, Timbo Reid. You, so much more importantly, are a motivated business owner ready to crank out some great marketing. If you're a newbie, welcome. You are about to embark on the marketing journey of a lifetime. If you're an oldie, thanks for coming back for a little bit more marketing gold. Hey, big show today. Joined by James Tostevin, Australia's number one real estate agent who reveals his success secrets. And they are very, very insightful and applicable to any business. So don't worry, it's not a real estate talk. It's a marketing business success talk. I've got some wonderful feedback from a listener who's escaping the cubicle, like 50 hours a week in the cubicle, and starting a business to make his newborn son proud. Hey? That'll pull on the heartstrings. I've got news of a small business award that I reckon you should enter, and a motivational marketing quote from the wonderful Henry Ford. Now, it is a big show, and it is made possible by the very good folk at Net Registry who get your online marketing sorted. You can check out their exclusive listener packages, including a $79 Do It For Me website package. It is a ripper. Head over to netregistry.com.au/Timbo. And 99 Designs also make this show possible, and that is a graphic design marketplace where designers all over the world compete to give you a design you will love, guaranteed. And you can grab a free $99 upgrade exclusive to this show's listeners over at 99designs.com/Timbo. As per usual, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Do you need a speaker for your next conference? Recommend Timbo to your event organiser. Or better still, book him. Tim Reid, that's reid.com.au.
Righto, time for a quick check-in. How's your week? Is it going well? Are you nailing your marketing? Are you making time for your marketing? If you're not, lock it in, as you would a visit to the gym, as you would a meeting with your dentist. Just make time for your marketing every week. What's your biggest marketing blockage? If you've got one, share it. Hit me up on Twitter at Timbo Reid. Let me know. Join the forum, I don't know. Hey, I did an educational tour yesterday with costumes.com.au. Had Nathan Huppets on the show last week, and the guys at the National Online Retailers Association organised this wonderful tour of Nathan's business. We saw the whole thing. It's about 26 of us. Really good fun. I'd encourage you to have a look at the tours that Nora provide. Three more learnings. Having seen Nathan's business in the flesh, the owners have no interest in costumes. They just love building systems to solve problems, which was a bit of an eye-opener. They have a marketing manager who loves costumes, but the guys who own the business, they're just problem solvers, which I think there's learning in that. I think as marketers, as business owners, we are problem solvers. And I was amazed, the founders are amazed at just how many bricks and mortar stores don't have a proper online e-commerce component. They just see it as the way of the future. There'll always be shops, but why on earth wouldn't you be selling online to the world as well as in your store locally? Interesting. I caught up with the group that I went to the Philippines with recently. We had a bit of a Skype chat to see where everyone's at. Everyone's actioning, doing stuff, which I was absolutely loved hearing. In fact, one of them, won't say who, she was on hold to a call centre for one big brand earlier this week. And when she finally got through, the lady who helped her was so incredibly helpful. She said, "Where are you from?" She said, "The Philippines." And after a bit of a chat, one of the people who was on the tour with me actually employed this lady. So I thought that was quite funny. There's a strategy for employing people. Ring call centres. If you like the service you get, start using them. Okay, did some great coaching sessions this week. Plenty going on inside the forum. I'm off to Cairns tomorrow to speak at a financial planning conference. I hope you're crushing it with your marketing. If you're not, there's some marketing gold just ahead. So let's get on with the show. Support for this show comes from Net Registry, a one-stop shop for getting your online marketing sorted. Verity Ma, their Chief Marketing Officer, recently told me this story of a very happy mechanic.
So one of my favourite stories of customers that I heard was a salesperson was talking to a mechanic, and he was talking about what sort of email he would like to have and what kind of hosting, whether he wants cloud or cPanel hosting. And the mechanic just said, "Look, I don't care, build my website, here's my phone number, make my phone ring and send me the bill." And that was the last we heard of him. He didn't provide us content. He didn't provide us any details about his business. We had his contact details. We wrote all the content and we just got his phone ringing and sent him the bill.
Net Registry, where happy mechanics go to grow their business online. Visit netregistry.com.au or give them a buzz on 1300 638 734. And tell them Timbo sent you.
Get on Timbo's mailing list over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.
Support for this show comes from 99 Designs, where dozens of designers compete to deliver a fast, affordable design you'll love. Speaking of love, their big cheese, Patrick Llewellyn, recently compared 99 Designs to a dating site.
We really think of contests almost like the dating paradigm. You go to a nightclub, it's noisy, there's a lot of people to meet, you get to meet a lot of people, and if you're lucky, at the end of that process, you might meet someone, right? And then you go on and have dates. And so a contest is kind of like that paradigm. You put up your proposal, lots of designers submit their ideas, and then you start to whittle down to a few of the ones that really resonate with you. And then ultimately you pick one of them, and once you've picked that one designer, the chances of you going on to work with that designer to get other things designed is actually very high.
99 Designs, where love is in the air. For a free $99 upgrade on your first design, visit 99designs.com/Timbo. Righto, let's get stuck into today's guest. It is James Tostevin. He is from a real estate agent in Melbourne called Marshall White. And he's he's ranked the number one real estate agent in Australia 2 years in a row, based on several criteria, including sales volume, number of sales, and average sale. How's this? He's the only agent in Australia to sell more than $300 million worth of property in the past financial year. Which, we spoke to Bernard Ukritz, Texas real estate agent, a few weeks ago. He's selling a property for $994 million. But that is an unfair comparison. James is absolutely nailing it. Have a listen in as he reveals his success secrets, and they apply well beyond just real estate. They apply to any business owner. So don't hang up now. You don't really hang up. You're not on the phone, but you know what I mean. He talks about how he manages to make 200 calls per week, and we actually role play one of those calls, how he nurtures his list, and he also shares what he's yet to master. And that question shocked him a bit, and there's plenty more. I started off by asking James what guilty pleasure would he find impossible to give up.
Guilty pleasure would be my travelling, without a doubt. My holidays that I enjoy immensely as a result of my hard work, and I'd like to think my success. So if you can call it a guilty pleasure, but that would be the obvious one. Apart from that, I, like most human beings, have the odd issue with some different items of food. But apart from that, chocolate sweet food.
When you go on holiday, I mean, clearly, I don't know, should I label you a workaholic? And can you switch off when you get on
do. It's surprising, actually. I get a lot of people that say to me that they are surprised that I switch off to the degree that I do. But No, it's funny. When I'm on holiday, I really find it hard actually to focus on work. I tend to be that on-off switch. I go at a million miles an hour, and when I do hit the stop button or the pause button, I tend to enjoy my time on holidays. I mean, I've built my career to the point where, like anyone, I used to take the normal 4 weeks a year, and now it's got to the point where I take about 12 weeks a year, which sounds a lot, but then when I'm actually at work, the hours I work, the commitment I have, the hours in terms of, when I get up and when I go to bed, and the things I do before hours, after hours that people wouldn't see, even people I work with, those sort of commitments and sacrifices over a long period of time have been significant. So, that's all part of it, I guess. But
how many hours a day?
I think, look, normally I'd be in at around 8, and there wouldn't be many days where it's pretty much 8 till 8, but there'd be some days where, the last couple of nights I've got home and worked later than that. I've worked an extra hour and a half doing, open for inspection schedules and, extra notes and emails and so on. But I try not to do that every night, and I'm very disciplined. I get up at 5:15 every day except for Sunday. That's a sleep in, so it's normally about 6:30, roughly. But I go to the gym, the personal trainer 3 times a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then I walk at least twice, if not 3 times a week on the other days. So, but I've always been a big guy, so I've always had to, be careful with my weight and.
You and me both. I have to look at food and it bloody sits on my waist.
Me too. So it's a bit of a challenge. It's definitely a bit of a challenge. But look, ultimately, I love what I do. I mean, it's very easy to say that. A lot of people say that, but it's not just cliched. I genuinely, in fact, I've had clients say, my God, it's almost insane how much you love what you do. And I say, well, actually it is.
I found it hard planning for this interview because having researched you, I think there's some things that you have. I don't think you can teach. You've either got it or you haven't. You have an unbridled love of real estate. You have an energy and a passion that you've either got it or you haven't. So, well, that's my belief anyway. How do you force someone to love something or to be completely passionate about it? But I'm sure there are things we could learn nonetheless. What's had the most profound impact on your career to date?
I think probably the thing that's had a profound impact, Tim, has probably been a combination of things. I think when I've worked with different companies, I've now been with Marshall White 11 years, but when I was younger, I probably had a few too many changes, and I did chop and change, agencies, and I was probably always looking for the, again, cliche, but the grasping that greener on the other side of the fence, and I was probably fairly easily sold to, and, anyway, but I did learn a great lesson early on that when I worked with someone who was better than what I was at what they did, that I tried to take the best of what they did, and as long as that suited my personality, I made sure that was a neat fit for my business. But that's one of the challenges in real estate is that I speak to a lot of people and I've done training. They say, look, I'm just comfortable doing it that way. And I feel like saying, well, get uncomfortable. I don't want people to, it's still a matter of doing what you enjoy doing. But I think it's important to keep challenging yourself and saying, well, is there a better way, a faster way to become more accomplished at what you do? And the other thing I've done is, if you look at, say, the ARAC conference, which is the biggest real estate conference, which John McGrath has done that standing job over a long period of time. I think there's been 18 over 18 consecutive years, and I've been to each of the 18. I still do some sales training outside Marshall White, but I don't tend to be as focused on that anymore. But certainly I've got a lot of conferences. I went to one as recently as September 8th and 9th, and that's also been important in my development in my career over a period of time. But as you know, you can sit in a room for a day or 2 days and be in a conference, but it's still a matter of what you embrace and what you put into place, because if you don't put these things into play in your business day to day, it's just amazing. I always think to myself, why do people go to these conferences? They're looking for inspiration and motivation, but it's still got to be a matter of actually saying, when you walk out those doors, what am I going to act on? What am I going to put into my business the next day, the next week, the next month? That's important too.
Can we talk about that a bit, Dave? Because I so agree with that. I talk at a lot of conferences and obviously I do this podcast twice a week. People talk about the great ideas that they're getting and, really enjoyed listening to you and all this type of stuff. But how do I action it? Like, what have I got to do now? And for me, you've just got to take that first step. I had a guest on only this week who said, walk towards your dream and it'll come into focus. And I just think if you take action, do you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, no, I definitely do. I mean, I think in Australia, it's funny, I've often thought people regard goals as being a bit corny. And, I've got a book on my desk. I'm taking my family, or my whole family's coming to the south of France next year because I'm still 48, but I'm 50 in October next year, and we're going late June, July for a week. And there's a book sitting there with yachts for charter. Now, they're very, very expensive, but they are stunning boats. Now, that, to me, just sits there as a sense of motivation. I mean, for me, the car I drive, the house I live in, the holiday house I own, etc. Look, they're not important to some people. And, I often joke that some people are happy to go to country Victoria, country New South Wales, or country wherever, for their holidays. But for me, I'm not happy to do that. I want to go to Europe for a month around June, July, and I want to go to my beach house for a month at Christmas and spend a lot of time at Noosa and Hawaii.
Oh, mate, you are ticking every box. I mean, some of our overseas listeners just won't know some of the places you're talking about, but I do love the fact you tick your box. Tell me, you very clearly said, you're 48 now, but you're 50 next year. Is 50, and so am I, by the way, does that give you, is there a sense of urgency about that for you? Is there like, oh, geez, hang on?
I think, no, it's probably, Tim, more a matter of, I'm going to go like a bat out of hell at a million miles an hour till I'm 60, and then I'll sort of reassess. Look, I know some people have, if they look at, would it be, maybe 5-year goals are okay, but I think when people project too far ahead, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and then I look at the births, deaths, and marriages every day. The deaths are the one I sort of focus on. I tell you what, I'm glad I'm still the right side up, and I sort of realise how lucky I am, and, every day of my life, and I have a great, little saying in our team, and they'll, when I say, people say, how are you? I say, I'm great, I'm fantastic, and even when I say that to some clients, they go, are you? Like, really? And I'm thinking, well, is that okay? But the little saying I have is, it's a great day to be alive, but I do think that, I mean, every day is an opportunity to get to another level, and I said, look, I am very, the words enthusiastic and passionate are overused, but I'm so committed to what I do day to day. I have massive energy, and I really enjoy it though. It's not a chore to do the 200 prospecting calls a week, and some of the disciplines that I put in place has made a big difference to my career.
I think it's one of the things I love about small business, which this is what this show's all about, is that as a small business owner, we've chosen what we want to do. I hope most listening have done that and therefore love it, as opposed to what I call the cubicle escapees, James, who are listening and they're stuck in that cubicle in corporate just looking for the way out. And I think the way out is to identify something you're passionate about, and cash flow allowing, go and chase it. James, what are you yet to master and why?
That's a great question. I don't think I've ever been asked that, Tim. I think probably for me, I think I'm genuinely very balanced in terms of my approach, especially with the holidays. I think the thing that I probably find difficult to master is the ability to be sometimes in the moment. I have to focus hard whether I'm, with my family or my children and that sort of thing. That's a challenge, the best of times, because I can sometimes feel I'm not quite present. I've got too many things that are swirling around the brain. So that would be something that I'm not sure. I hate admitting to weaknesses, but I'm not sure if I'm quite as good at that as I can.
Thanks for sharing that, because I think that's would be kind of reflective of Western society. I mean, you look at, I know your kids are older, I've got 3 teenagers, social media is a classic example of how can you possibly be present in a room when there's a screen constantly saying, hey, someone's just messaged you, there's a Snapchat, there's an update, there's a like, and it's like, I say to my kids, guys, please just look 3 centimetres up, away from the screen. And, interesting conversation about having children. Yours are a bit older, but I did 2 years at Reach with Jim Steins, who, for overseas listeners, very famous AFL footballer, started a charity for kids at risk. And one day he said to me, have a look around. And we were at a youth day that he held, and he said, have a look. All these kids are being dropped off in Mercedes and BMWs. And his point was that often Dad was never home, or if he was home, he wasn't present. And as a result, the kids needed the help of Reach to kind of readjust, and that was a real wake-up call for me, and that idea of being present. It's bloody hard.
It is really challenging. So, look, I think I think just about anyone would say that, when I went through divorce 10 years ago, and the focus and time I devoted to my kids, and, from making their lunches to getting them to school to just organising their lives generally, because they were 10 to 15, or, 5 of them, 10 to 15 at the time, one set of twins. That's why it seems so many children in a short period of time. But I think I've been very, very committed to being a father, but they're now 19 to 24, and they're far more independent. They're all finished school.
Yeah.
But that was still certainly a challenge, and making sure if they were talking to me about something that was happening in their day, in their lives, I had to make sure I was focused on that. But professionally, I don't think there wouldn't be too many boxes. And probably early in my career, Tim, I was a little intolerant of laziness and people that didn't have a similar appetite to get better and also to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really enjoyed or liked people that cut corners, and too many of them and too consistently. That's probably something that used to irritate me. But
it sounds like you want everyone to be like you.
Well, I did when I was younger. I honestly don't think so much now, but when I was younger, I definitely did. But I think in time, I've realised that, and one of my previous employers, bosses, used to say to me, not everyone is going to work with the same passion and commitment that you do. And even James Connell, our managing director, says, look, stop holding people to quite the standards that you have, So that's been over a period of time. But I think I've got a lot better at that. I really have.
Really?
So,
yeah. That must be really, really hard. That must require a lot of tongue biting.
Yeah, no, it does on occasions, without a doubt. It definitely does. But probably not so much now, because I've got 5 young men that work in my team. They're 23 to 27, including my son Charlie, and I've got 4 other guys that are the 5 of them are fantastic, and I've also got an amazing EA and 2 advertising marketing girls. The team I've got are all in their 20s without exception, and I think probably that the energy and also the attitude they bring to the work every day makes such a difference to what I'm capable of doing. Because I often say, Tim, that if I didn't have the team that worked alongside me, I've been a mental asylum, and I'm not really joking. The support that they provide is absolutely crucial. There's no way I could have anywhere near the success I have without that assistance. But look, I've certainly had older and more mature people in my team, and that still worked exceptionally well over a period of time.
I was going to say, because I get why you've employed those 20-somethings. They're digital natives. They probably bring something to the party that you don't have because of our age. Do you struggle to employ people as good as you?
No, I think the attitude I've got now, and I have had for a few years, is a legacy I want to leave Marshall White, or I want to leave the industry, and that's why I've done so much sales training over the years. I want to make sure that they first and foremost, impressive young women or men, and they're just nice people to be around, and they're fun, and they certainly enjoy what they do professionally. I mean, I think someone would struggle to work with me if they didn't really enjoy what they did day to day, and it's just not the sort of job. Well, there's lots of jobs you can't really do unless you really get a bit of a buzz out of it. But I think for me, no, they don't have to be, because they're not going to be close to that at 23 to 27 years of age. They just haven't had the experience, Tim. So
what if a 52-year-old woman knocked on your door who's an absolute gun? You mean she is doing extraordinary numbers. Would you consider employing her in Team Tostevin?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, when I was younger, in my 20s, I used to say that would be more challenging, because my mother's only 21 years older than me. So if it had been then, when I was sort of late 20s to early 30s, I might have felt like I was talking to mum because of but I'm now, as I said earlier, 48, so it's very different. No, I'm definitely not age specific, and I've had, whilst I've got 5 young men now, I've had 2 exceptional women or young women that have worked in my team. Zaylee is the standout person. She's been with Marshall White now for a few years, and she worked in my team for a couple of years, and she is absolutely exceptional at what she does. And look, she's ultimately formed her own team. So there's and I still mentor her, and I still spend a lot of time developing her career, but she's fantastic at what she does, and she's just got an amazing attitude. So it's not age specific or gender specific.
One of the things many small business owners struggle with is attracting and retaining great staff. How do you retain someone like her?
Well, for Zaylee, I think she loves the atmosphere at the company, the camaraderie, the team spirit. We talk about the culture that exists at Marshall White. It's an amazing company. I mean, I work for a few different companies, and, the competitive, whilst you want a competitive streak in any business and any real estate office, I think some companies go too far, and it becomes a little bit, about beating your fellow salesperson almost, as opposed to concentrating on your competition. And I don't think some companies or individuals generally celebrate the successes of others, and I think we're very good at that as a company. I think the other thing is just the time that's devoted through training, and James Redfern, one of my partners and directors, fellow directors, is he's outstanding in running our training, and I help him, but he certainly devotes a lot of time and energy to that. But the mentoring that we do, which is either one-on-one or in small groups,
Yeah,
or the
right.
training we do every Wednesday. So that's 8 till 9 as a company. And then I do some additional training every Wednesday between sort of 3 and 4:30. And I think I've missed 2 this year, but other than being on holidays, I've missed 2. But I've been very dedicated to that. Now, I didn't used to do that, Tim, but that's just my 5 and then 3 extras. Again, younger salespeople wanting to develop their careers. I'm trying to fast-track their careers, and I think that's what, going back to Zaylee, the interest I've shown, even when she hasn't been in my team, I've still devoted time and effort and energy to her career, and I think she really appreciates that, and that's definitely...
Investing in your people, whether it be through training, money, reward, you can't underestimate that. Let's talk about list building, because that's relevant to all small businesses. You make 200 prospecting calls per week. A little birdie tells me you hold an egg timer when you do that, and you just keep moving through them. Can we role play a prospect? I've just sold my house, so I'm kind of in the zone. Let's do a role play of that, a typical prospecting call. You've called me.
Normal call would be, "Hi Tim, it's James Tostevin speaking from Master White."
G'day, mate. Yep. What do you got?
How are you? Good to chat.
I have. I'm just getting the kids. I'm picking the kids up from school, so
I won't keep you long, Tim. When we last spoke in March of this year, you mentioned that you may consider a sale early next year. It was really just a courtesy call to keep in touch, let you know how the market was actually going, and just see if you were still favouring a sale at that time, or whether you were thinking about something a little different.
Yep, got it. Thinking of it. Hesitant, a little bit nervous about the market, and have spoken to another couple of agents. Their commissions are they're low. I'm erring towards them if I do sell.
Yeah, all I'd ask him at the appropriate stage is the opportunity to present our credentials, and Marshall White's doing some fantastic things, and from the outside looking in, it might appear that agents are really much the same, but there are some subtle and some real differences between what we do and what our competitors do.
Yeah, what's the biggest?
Well, I think the number one thing is the way we conduct our open for inspections. The days are really gone, Tim, where agents stand there with a notepad and make pleasant conversation, and I think now the effort that we make in that area, the quality of questions we ask, the interest that we show in buyers, making sure we're having conversations with buyers one-on-one, away from another buyer who might overhear some of that, some of the feedback that they might give about a property. You've got to be careful of that, because ultimately there are some dangers there when one person can hear what another person raises about a property. So that would be a very significant thing, and I think the ability to overcome objections, Tim, is still really important.
James, you got me, mate. The kids are in the car. I'll see you next Tuesday.
I really appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing you then.
Tell me, what have you learned? 200 calls a week. That's insane. I understand 520 in 1 week is your record. What have you learned about What do you learn about the human condition, speaking to that many people, when it comes to selling?
Yeah, I think the thing that I've learned over a long period of time is, and in fact I have people who come into my office and they just, whilst they pay some money for the benefit of listening to me doing prospecting, what they glean from that prospecting, or nurture calls as we call them, is that so often a lot of them are just relationship building. And some people say to me, "God, you don't spend a huge amount of time on real estate." I say no, because I'm trying to make sure that there's that sense of they like me, I like them. There is a natural conversation that takes place. I take an interest in what's happening in their lives, whether it be improvements they've made to their property. Some people open up a little bit more about what their kids are up to, just what's happening in their life generally. So I think that's been really one of the secrets to my success. Whereas, I was speaking to an agent the other day in Noosa, and he's got a very successful agent, but they're too quick to jump on the phone, any closer to selling. If the answer's no, bang, they're on to the next phone call.
Yeah,
There's not
right.
that building of rapport or time that's devoted to that potential client. So that's something that I feel, Tim, I've done well.
Is your nurturing idea is it not face-to-face, is it phone calls? It's not emails and Christmas cards, I think, is what I'm trying to say. It's very...
It's a combination, but look, whilst there are some emails, some SMSs, and certainly Christmas cards I have done rightly or wrongly over a long period of time, but I must admit, I've always said to people that I've done training for, or when I've spoken to groups, you can really do those things as often as you like. Unless you're ringing people and building rapport, you're not going to be in a great position to help that person or those people at a later date. It's a critical part of what we do day to day, and part of our success. So no, look, I think that one-on-one contact is absolutely vital.
I think one of the things, I had this real estate agent on about 3 months ago, James. His name was Bernard Ukritz, and he's a Brisbane guy living in Texas who's selling a ranch for $994 million, right? And,
My gosh.
and I was expecting the big idea to drop out of the sky about, Bernard, how'd you get that listing and how are you going to sell it? And you know what his best advice was?
Right.
He said, Tim, I'm a handshake kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I was kind of let down. A lot of listeners reported back saying I shouldn't be let down because that is really good advice. We live in such a virtual world these days that the idea of talking, eyeballing, speaking to people on the phone is kind of being lost.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And I think the other thing is just to be, I often say to people when I'm doing training, if you just had a cup of coffee with me, not that I'm a big coffee drinker, but just had a drink or a bite to eat, you think, gee, he just seems like a normal sort of guy. I mean, I'm very confident in my ability day to day, but I'm, in terms of what I do professionally, but very down to earth. And I'm a great believer in being approachable, easy to relate to, easy to just communicate with, and that's not just the people that work with me, that's my client base that I try very hard to have a natural rapport. It's not forced, it's not, and even smiling. I heard a great saying years ago, talking of simple sayings, I heard from an American speaker, smile, double your income, and it sounds so simple, but in my mind, if you're happy to be there and the client thinks, gee, they just seem keener. I've had so many clients from over the years that say, look, you just wanted the opportunity to represent us more. It just seemed to mean more to you, and I always feel glad that they recognise that. But you've got to be a real person, and that's the other skill, or I think the important thing when it comes to those prospecting, nurturing calls. And then people relate to you better. They don't think just because I've achieved some success, I don't walk around thinking, well, I'm the number one agent in Australia. I mean, at the end of the day, that's just, if I felt like that or treated people, and even people I work with every day like that, I've been in a lot of trouble. So.
A lot of trouble. I mean, the minute that sinks in, so you might need... Do you have anyone to tap you on the shoulder? When you're at the top of your tree, I notice when I speak to people like you that, who tells you, James, you've been on yourself, mate, or, James, come on, mate, pull it back a bit. Who does that? Your wife?
Yeah, well, a bit of that. Family probably have been good at that over a period of time. Yeah. And James Connell, I think the managing director, he's been certainly a great mentor to me as well. And
how do you take that feedback?
Sometimes I feel the person might be being a little bit tough, but pretty good. I think ultimately, in terms of the constructive feedback, it's something that I sometimes have to reflect on. I'd like to think it really doesn't happen very often, but I also think over a period of time I've got a lot better, and I've learnt some lessons along the way. And look, that's just a little bit of age and life experience and that sort of thing. But I think that's probably the number one thing, the time that's been devoted to that. But no, look, I'm pretty accepting of it. If I disagree with someone, I can be pretty passionate about exactly that. But I do have strong views on things, and that's just my personality, and that passion might get me into trouble occasionally.
Yeah, love it, mate. Hey, James Tostevin, thank you so much for sharing this. It was a wonderful insight into what a successful real estate agent looks like and how it applies to many other small businesses. And enjoy that yacht.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's only for a day, so it's not as if I'm going to own it. Well, not yet.
A yacht for a day?
It's taking the family out on this unbelievable one. It's an incredible one. It's ridiculous. So,
come on, mate. Go
I can't
overnight.
afford one by myself.
Go overnight. What's your bank details? I'll flick you 20.
Happy to chat another time, and thanks for the time today.
Thanks a lot, James.
Okay, see you, Tim.
Oh, yes. French Riviera. A big yacht. The family swanning around. Oh, yes. Sounds nice, doesn't it? I bet it's a big yacht too, eh? Hey? Anyway, I digress. I get lost in that. Maybe one day we could have a small business pig marketing meet-up on a French Riviera yacht when we've all absolutely nailed our marketing. Hey, did you enjoy that? James Tostevin. What an interesting fellow. What a successful fellow. I want to share my top 3 learnings thanks to the very good folk at 99 Designs and Net Registry. My learning number 1, a smile can double your income. I like that. Are you smiling enough? Hello, Mr. Customer. Oh, that was a fake smile. You know what I mean. Think about ways you can put a smile on your dial more often and on that of your customers. Learning number 2, never stop learning. I love how James continues to go to a conference every year, at least a conference every year. I don't think any of us should stop learning. I loved the educational I went on yesterday with the National Online Retailers Association. I'm certainly going to make a point of being a delegate at more conferences in the coming 12 months. You should too. Learning number 3, continually nurture your list. And it doesn't have to take an extraordinary amount of time. Just a quick phone call, like James proved. You know, one thing that always fascinates me is, why do meetings have to go for an hour, you know? Why does a phone call necessarily have to be long? Get to the point, know what outcome you're looking for, and don't waste the other person's time, you know? Just, it's a business thing. Doesn't mean you can't have a little bit of charm about it, but I love how James goes about continually nurturing his list in a very efficient way. Hey, what did you learn? I'd love to know. I'm going to encourage you right now to pause, go over to the show hasn't finished, but I know you're going to come back. Go over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, episode 272, and leave a comment in the show notes, because I read them and I respond to them, and I love to know what you take from this show. Hey, now, awards. I hope you're entering the odd award. It's a good thing. Flying Solo. The guys over at Flying Solo, Robert and his mates, have got some awards coming up, and they recognise excellence for solopreneurs across 4 categories: sales and marketing, customer service, technology and innovation, and lifestyle. And they're open to all solo and micro businesses with a maximum of 5 employees who are owned and operated in Australia. I'd encourage you to enter them. Winning them would be a good thing. You'll get some good PR out of it. You can put it on your website, award-winning business, all that type of stuff. You can find out more about them over at flyingsolo.com.au/awards. Henry Ford once said, "If I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses." I do love that quote from old Henry. It is a ripper. Speaking of rippers, I've got some wonderful feedback from a listener who is taking massive action, and rightly so. His name's Tim, hey? And I want to help promote his new business, give him a bit of a leg up, so to speak. He's starting a business called globalgolfholidays.com.au. He says, "Hey, Timbo here from Global Golf Holidays. Mate, just wanted to say, love your show. I've just found it." What took you so long, Tim, by the way? I just found it 2 days ago and I absolutely loved it. I've got to listen to 4 in the last 2 days and I'm completely hooked. I love that. I get a lot of feedback from people saying they're hooked. It's addictive. I encourage you to create some marketing for your business that's addictive. Not easy. It's a good kind of goal to reach for. Back to Tim. The style of your podcast, your guests, your questions, your personality and enthusiasm make it now probably my favourite podcast. What do you mean probably? Timbo? Come on, mate. I need some dedication. And I'm really looking forward to pumping through dozens and dozens more episodes to try and gain some help to help move me forward. How's this? I've recently started my Global Golf Holidays business as I was not happy with the direction of my career. And recently, having our first child, I wanted to do something that will make my little boy proud of his dad one day. Mate, he'll be proud of him no matter what, Tim, but good on you for making this change that you are about to share. This is quite a unique business. Working 50 hours per week in my regular job, ouch. Having little to no budget and having an 8-month-old boy is making it challenging. But at the end of the day, I have no option but to make this work. This is why I respect small business owners so much. Tim is part of my why I do what I do. So with the help of your podcasts, and I look forward to going back through all your episodes and seeing what I can find that will help me in my journey of success. Oh, Timbo, mate, go for it and be sure to action. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. Don't wait for all the ducks to line up in a row. They never will. They always kind of wander off in other directions. Thanks again, mate. Keep up the good work and I will definitely head over to iTunes to drop a 5-star review. Hey, Tim, I've been over to iTunes to see if you have. Awkward conversation alert. You haven't. Go on. Head over now, mate. Anyone really. If you haven't left a review for this show on iTunes, I would love it. Just go to iTunes, key in Small Business Big Marketing, and Leave what you kind of feel. I've got a thick skin. Hopefully it's 5 stars. Anyway, back to Timbo. That's it. Cheers, Tim. globalgolfholidays.com.au. Good luck, buddy. That is almost the end, but plenty of marketing gold coming your way. Next episode, I have a chat with a fellow Ben London. It's a good name. Owner of fitness clothing brand, you ready for it? FKN Gymwear. Speaking of good names, which he started in his bedroom 3 years ago, and he's about to sell his 100,000th item. Plus, he shares a simple Snapchat marketing strategy, which we haven't spoken about on this show before. Hey, be sure to use Net Registry if you need a website or you need to get your website found. They've got exclusive listener packages just for you over at netregistry.com.au/Timbo, including that $79 a month Do It For Me website package. If you need something, anything designed, including like a book cover, brochure, logo, car wrap, tattoo, yeah, I suppose, then grab your free $99 design upgrade over at 99designs.com/Timbo. Hey, audio production for this show is done by the world's best audio guy. Yeah, world's best. Daryl Delirious Misson. Thanks, Daz. And the music bed created by Jimmy Barnes's organ player, Mr. Lockie Dolly. Thanks, Lockie. If you need a speaker for an upcoming event, I'm all yours, timreid.com.au. And if you want to surround yourself with motivated business owners and talk marketing, hold each other accountable, have some fun along the way, then join the forum over at crankmymarketing.com. Until next week, I'm Timbo Reid. May your marketing be the best marketing. Bye for now.